Hello, hello, and welcome back to For Book's Sake. I am Heather Roberts.
I am Veronica Adams, and together we are 1852 Media.
We are. And today I thought it was worth talking about ethics in the publishing industry.
I think it's
What is it?
always worth talking about ethics in the publishing industry.
We've talked about this before, but I feel like we need a whole episode where
Yeah,
we just talk about what is ethical. And here's the thing. What is ethical and what is legal are two completely separate things.
100%.
People need to stop thinking that ethics equals law or legal
Right.
because it doesn't. There are plenty of shady practices that are a touch unethical or totally unethical that are completely legal.
So, completely irrelevant backstory from my days
Yeah.
practicing law. And email me if you want the details on this. I'll be happy to share all the tea with you. But I worked for a gentleman who, some years after I left my employment with him, ended up in a very aggressive dispute with the Florida bar. And their attorneys reached out to me. I had to give some evidence and make a statement about some of my work for him. But as part of their investigation, they ended up taking his license permanently. He is completely disbarred for all time, can never be a lawyer in the state of Florida anymore. But
Correct.
he never went to jail for any of the things that he did that caused them to take away his law license. Because there's a difference between what is ethical and what is criminal or legal. Completely different. So,
and as a great example, because as an attorney, you have a board that governs what's ethical.
Yes.
And you can have your ability to practice law taken from you if you act in a way that is not ethical.
Right.
The publishing industry has no such governance.
The publishing industry has zero. It's the Wild West out here, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, just find your 6-shooters and do your best, because from one person and one retailer and one reader to the next, your mileage is going to vary. There just really aren't any rules outside of basic intellectual property law, contract law, and terms of service for various platforms and retailers. That's it. That's all you got.
Mm-hmm. So if you are acting in a way that's not ethical, but it's still within the confines of the law and the terms of service, you are free to continue to act that shittily.
Yeah.
I mean, you're allowed to do it.
If your biscuits are burned about people acting that way, there's really not a whole lot you can do other than just not buy their books or do business with them.
And you can complain about it, absolutely. And you can vent about it, which many authors have done.
You can put them on blast.
You can put them on blast about it and let people know that they're participating in this activity that you find to be shady.
This person owes me money. This person didn't edit my book when they said they were going to. This person used AI to design my cover after promising they wouldn't. Whatever it is you're upset about, you're allowed to go out into the town square and ring your bell and tell everybody what they did or didn't do that they were supposed to or not supposed to.
Right. That's part of the free market. That's part of the free market. But if they didn't break a contract with you, and if they are following all terms of service and the guidelines and the laws provided by the state and the federal government, there's not much else that can be done. So let's talk about some certain circumstances that have cropped up.
Yes.
That we can apply here, that has recently applied. So one of the things that has cropped up is TikTok accounts. Okay. There are individuals out there, companies, shall we say, also individuals, who you can pay to make 25, 50 TikTok accounts for you on a variety of different phones. You can have up to 5 accounts per device. So
that's straight from TikTok's terms of service right there.
Yeah. So that anybody saying that you can only have one account and one creator, that's just not accurate.
I've got an iPad, I've got an iPhone, I've got my desktop computer, I've got my husband's iPad, I've got my husband's iPhone, I've got my husband's laptop. I've got 30 TikToks account, right? I
I think
can't
it's
speak today. Is
yeah,
it Friday?
it's Friday.
Oh my Lord. I
I
have
think they have
30
to
TikTok
be
accounts right there, just on those devices in my home right now.
and I think they have to be related to a phone number or a email address. So
Okay.
you have to like I have a million email addresses. I'm sure you do
Yeah,
too.
I do. I do.
My family members have different phone numbers. If I wanted to, I could go and create accounts on their,
Sure.
thing.
Sure.
Anyway, or you can go buy burner phones, which is what a lot of people do.
Yep.
Go, well, pay as you go phones, burner phones, whatever. Pay as you
You,
go
you sound
phones.
so criminal when you say
I
that.
know. I know. I watch way too much Investigation Discovery. But that's neither here nor there. You can purchase these phones. You can create these TikTok accounts
Yeah.
and you can post about your book all day long on these accounts. It is not against TikTok's terms of service at this particular juncture for you to do so. Nothing that I've read or seen.
Mhm.
If it exists, please tell me. I don't want to speak out of pocket, but I have not seen anything that would prevent someone from going out and doing this.
Right.
Now, obviously, since it is a loophole that currently exists, somebody's going to market or capitalize upon that loophole
Sure.
and is going to offer their services to do this at a heightened rate
Mhm.
to do this for authors. And people
Well,
are.
the marketing here is super straightforward, right? The idea is that the more accounts you have, the more times you can push out the same TikToks or additional TikToks. You
Right.
upload videos to multiple channels, there's an increased chance that one of them is going to go viral and get you a really great return on book
Yep.
marketing and sales. Like,
This is not any different than Facebook and passion pages, as we used to call them.
mm, yeah,
I have a lot of passion pages,
vanity pages, I call them
vanity
now.
pages. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pages in which you are not saying that you are behind the page, that it's,
Mhm. It's
I
set up to
love
look like a
books.
brand, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, I love romance or romance book
Mhm.
lovers or whatever. And
Romantic
then,
thrillers are us.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then you're pushing out your promotional content on those pages
Yep.
to the followers. And yeah,
Increasing the likelihood that you get organic views on the metaverse on Facebook and
yes.
Instagram.
This is just an extrapolation of that.
Yeah, it's the TikTok version of
It's
it.
the TikTok version of
We've
that.
been doing it for years.
Yes. Every promotional company has been doing it for years.
Yes.
Every author I know has multiple passion
Yes.
pages.
Maybe not every author, but
Almost every author.
I would say half of the authors we work with, minimum,
Yeah. Yeah.
have not just their own author branded channels across all platforms, but at least one or two vanity or passion branded things to help support their social media marketing
Yeah.
efforts.
This is not an uncommon practice, is I
Nope.
guess what we're trying to say. This is
Nope.
very common. And so now people are getting upset that this person is this shady. Yeah, it's a little shady. I'm not gonna. I can't say here. This is authentic and
Right.
forward facing and transparent. It's not. It's not. But and is it then taking it one step further where you're paying somebody to do this and then post a million times a
Mhm.
day
Yeah.
and it can clog, especially TikTok, it can sort of clog the algorithms and make them think that something is popular when it's not popular. That never really happened as much on Facebook. Like it wasn't, I don't know. It was, I guess it could have happened, but I just feel like the algorithms are different in
Completely.
such a way.
And Facebook with the page environment now, like that entire system, separate from like your personal profile and groups, but like pages, is
Yeah.
now almost exclusively pay to play anyway.
Oh,
So unless
100%.
you're advertising or boosting, your pages are not useless, but they're certainly not as helpful as they used
No,
to be. That's not the case on TikTok. You still have
that's
real
right.
organic reach in the algorithm for all of these, like,
Which is why people are doing it
right,
because
because
it's
it
free.
works and it doesn't violate the terms of service.
Yes. So yes, we can absolutely if TikTok finds that you're an inauthentic, like
Mhm.
I don't whatever their bots are doing to say that you shouldn't have your account, sure, shut it down,
Yeah.
right? And it actually wouldn't be the worst to have some of this cracking down, right? Because
Sure.
TikTok wants more authentic representations on their platform.
Yeah.
totally valid, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm also not, making 25 TikTok accounts to push out stuff,
Right.
because whatever you say, that is a job. That is
Oh, that's full
that
time
is
and then some.
fucking work, my
For sure.
friends.
For sure.
So what you're paying the person for is the work, and it is not for the faint of heart. It is hours upon hours every single day. Even if you have 4 or 5 accounts, you're
Mhm.
looking at probably 3 hours a day
Minimum.
minimum posting. So let's just say that is a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are upset about that. And yeah, I get why you're upset. I totally understand why you're upset. But
It's not
also,
entirely above board in terms of the information that's being provided to you as the TikTok user.
right, you're gaming the system. But you can game the system. Even when things were not against or were against terms of service, people still gamed the system.
Oh, girl,
Like,
get them. Get them.
I mean, Kindle Unlimited, let's talk about that, for
Oh, the
example.
book
Book
stuffers.
stuffers. There was a time when the new book that was maybe 5 to 10,000 words
Uh-huh.
would be at the end of a book. So
Yep.
you would open up a book, a brand new release, and there would be 8 to 10 books prior to the new release. So
Yep.
you would have to flip through all of the pages of those 8 to 10 books before you got to the new
And
release.
Amazon's algorithm is counting every single page toward the earnings of the
Yes.
person who published that title.
So that was book stuffing. So when
Yeah.
you literally stuff the book full of prior releases, because you don't care if they read the prior releases. You don't care if they've purchased the prior releases.
Right.
You give zero fucks what they do with that prior release,
Hmm.
except for the fact that they flip through it to get to your new release
Yep.
so that you get paid for all of those page reads.
Yeah. That is 100% in violation of Amazon's terms of service
Yes.
for the Kindle Unlimited program. And there are some very heavy hitters out there who no longer have Amazon publishing privileges because they're the ones who were
Yes.
behind or were some of the largest violators
At the
of this
largest
particular term
violators.
of service.
Yes.
And you can now only buy their Kindle versions directly from them.
Yes.
So,
So that that was book stuffing. And that, I believe, was against their terms of service when they were actively doing it.
yeah. Yes,
They
it
just
was.
didn't think that they were ever going to get caught because they were so popular. This
Well, not only that, but you
particular,
think there are so many books on the market, right? And
right.
as saturation continues, and more people self publish and more people publish additional books after giving it a go. There are so many books out there, you think Amazon's not going to catch me.
Well,
Wrong.
I know. And Amazon has since changed the way that they count page reads
Yes.
and pay for page reads because of this.
This
Because
is
of the
why we
page
can't have nice
stuffing.
things. People ruin
Yeah.
it.
This is why we can't have nice things. So I guess my point, this has existed in the publishing industry since the beginning of time
Yeah.
and shall exist until the end of time,
Yes.
because humans are going to human and are going to try to game the system
Uh-huh.
as it exists. And then people, the system, if you will, the terms of the retailers,
Hmm.
the social media platforms are going to constantly have to put up blocks
Right.
to limit these types of manipulations of their system,
Yes.
which is going to then have effects on people who are just using the system as it was intended to be
Hmm.
used. This is the internet. This is since the beginning of the internet. That's what we've been dealing with. So
It's a little Pandora's box we've opened up, and now we're
I
just
know,
all out here
but here
trying to do our best to make it work.
I know. But that is an example that has cropped up this week that, do I love it? I don't personally think it's lovely. I don't love it. I mean, but do I begrudge people who are
I'm a little more laissez-faire about it, right? Like,
yeah,
and maybe it's because of what we do all day and our business model and how we support authors, but like I have researched so many different TikTok accounts for purposes of supporting my clients
right.
to the point where uh, I've found almost as many like vanity or passion accounts where the content is exclusively for one author. In some cases, the
Oh
content was
yeah.
exclusively for one book.
Yeah.
And then it got dumped like a year and a half ago after the release window closed, and nobody's using it anymore. It was just for one book.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little jaded about it. I'm like, well, like this has been going on since book talk really became a thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, until TikTok changes the terms of service,
No, I'm in
it's going to
agreement with you.
continue happening. So,
Absolutely.
I don't see a reason to get bent out of shape about it
I don't
personally,
I
but
don't personally get bent out of shape about it either. I can just recognize that like I can
it's
understand
shady.
how somebody, yeah, doesn't love it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's allowable.
Yes, it's
It's
permissive.
allowable. It's permissive. So you can not like it,
Yeah,
but the reason I don't particularly like it is because I think about all the work that goes behind maintaining one of those
sure.
accounts
Yeah.
or 20 of those accounts. And that to me is like onerous.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
100%.
And I can understand, the clogging of authentic reviews and whatever. If we lived in an ideal world, there would be a lot of things I would change. Okay. I would throw this in there, right? But we
Yeah.
don't live in an ideal world.
Right.
So here we are. And so if you're going to do these types of practices, as long as they're permissible by the platform in which you're doing them, go ahead. People are going to be upset with you for doing it. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Oh,
just have to
please.
understand that people are upset about everything. You can't
I
do
was going to
anything.
say, like, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to piss somebody off.
Correct. Speaking of pissing people off and the craziness of no, did you see? I'm name dropping here only because this is terrible. What happened to her, Clarissa Wilde?
Yes.
Yes. Did you see
Girl,
this?
girl had a week this week. And for those of you who are listening, we dropped this episode a week after we recorded it. So this is 2 weeks ago now, if you're hearing this in real time.
Yes. Yes. This is February
Yeah.
9th on the day in
Cla-
which we are recording.
yes. Clarissa had a week
So
this week.
she had a week. She had a book that was, I don't even think this was a new release. This was a release that's been up for like
I think it was a backlist book. Yeah.
a backlist book. It's been up for a
Mm-hmm.
while. And she was targeted by people who don't like taboo books. She writes dark romance, taboo romance,
Mm-hmm.
and complained enough to Amazon to have her book removed from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
She was at 108 in the Kindle store when her book was taken off Amazon.
Yeah. Think about that. This megacorp is making oodles and gobs of money hand over fist on this book, and they still decided to deplatform it because of a bunch of reports that it violated their terms of service based on content
She
without
was
notice or warning. Like they didn't even
without notice or warning.
give her an
Yeah.
opportunity to correct this. It was just the book was there, selling well, making both Clarissa and Amazon some money,
Yeah.
and then it wasn't.
And poor Clarissa, I mean, she was making money. This is Clarissa, my understanding, she's a full-time author. This
I believe
is
so.
her livelihood.
Yes.
And so
This isn't her side hustle or her part-time dream.
right.
This is what she does all day, every day.
And so she was making a living
Mm-hmm.
with a product that finally, after
Mm-hmm.
however long it's been on the market,
Yep.
was getting some viral traction, was about to hit the top 100 in the Amazon store, which you then can put, Amazon top 100 in your product description, which
Yep.
markets your book in a more positive light to potential new readers.
Sure.
Also, the money that you're making for these page reads, purchases, and all of that
Yes.
goes into getting your
The
book
amount
into the top 100.
the amount of
That's
royalties you're
thousands of
earning in the top.
dollars.
Yes. Daily in the
Daily
top
thousands
100.
of dollars.
Yes.
And just to have that ripped away from her
Uh-huh.
because people targeted her.
Well, and the only resolution that was available to her was basically for her readers and her street team to do the exact same thing in reverse and basically inundate Amazon and their customer support with requests that they restore the book because it was taken down unfairly and that there really was not a violation and that Clarissa was targeted. And it took, I don't know how many people reaching out to Amazon for Amazon to finally listen, review the content, and republish the book.
Yeah. And they did republish, which
They did.
shocked, frankly, that shocked me.
I know, because
It had
most of
to,
the time they do not reverse those decisions.
that had to have been, Book Talk showed up for her in a
Yeah, they
way.
did.
See, this is when Book Talk is good, right? They showed up for
Book talk is
her.
always good, Heather. What are you talking
No,
about?
but people always say, like, oh, they're so drama fest, they blah, 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 blah. But they can have real life consequences in a positive way to people.
For
Okay.
sure, for
And this
sure.
is one of those situations that really helped her because she put out a plea on TikTok, and they had to have received a lot
Yeah, I'm sure they
of
did.
emails because they don't just reverse those decisions for a handful or 20
Right.
complaints
Well,
that a book
this
is
is
not
a
available.
problem with Amazon's publishing system too. And I don't know how the industry gets around it, because authors get bullied and
Oh yeah.
publishers get bullied by Amazon all the time. And you're at their mercy because of their market share. I, most authors cannot really produce a solid, pay their bills and make a living income off of royalties without Amazon in the mix somewhere. In
Right.
most cases, it's the majority of the income authors make.
Yeah.
And
I
they allow people to spam them with these. I mean, this is just trolling or bullying, Clarissa, is
Oh,
what it is.
100%. Well, do you see that she found the posts in the
Oh, she
Facebook group?
did.
Oh yeah. This
Oh, I
is
had
legit.
this is an update I was unaware of.
Oh yeah. So there were
So
two
what happened? She
posts.
found the posts where people were like putting a call out to like take her books down
Okay, so there is a group on the Book of Faces.
because
Yes,
because of course there is.
because of course there is. There's it, and this group has unfortunately been taken over. It has been hacked.
Hmm.
So the original group creators were hacked, and they were removed as admins of this group.
Yeah.
Okay. There is apparently no admin of this group.
It's just a
So
free for all.
it is a free for all public group. And so this person posted anonymously. Usually in a Facebook group, the admins of the group can see who they are, right? Because even if
But
you
there's
post
no
anonymously,
admin.
there's no admins. So this person posts, anonymous participant, for hashtag taboo troubles. For the taboo authors and taboo readers, since you all want to be so petty, who wants me to spill some more secrets? Psst, I'm not one person, I'm two. Winky face. I'm also not the only person involved in this process to remove these particular authors. Mutual author friends, PAs, and trusted street team members were a part of this all. Keep waiting and watching. And then there was a
So
second
wait, wait, wait,
post.
wait, wait. So like there's a little mini anonymous out there running around the book world
Yes.
now?
Yes, there's a second post that says, bye bye, taboo authors. By now, you will have realized your physical copies have been banned completely. Have fun finding somewhere new now that you're banned from two sites. The less that share this filth, the better. LOL. I wish the other OP had left their post up. I could have offered them so many more authors to go after next. KB is tiny compared to other authors who have been in the industry far longer. They're a cancerous disease and they need to be stopped. If you want names, simply ask and I will deliver.
KB.
I don't know who KB is. Clearly, somebody that has been targeted.
Huh.
And this was right at the same time that her book was
You want to talk about ethics in the publishing
banned.
industry? This is the shit that's unethical.
Oh,
Y'all,
100%. This is what's unethical.
if you have
That's
to
why I wanted to
hide
bring it up.
if you have to hide behind a throwaway account or anonymous posting or a screen name that can't be traced back to you, and you're out here running a smear campaign because you are opposed to a certain kind of content,
Yeah.
like be a grown up. Come out here and show your face, cowards.
Right. And the fact
Like,
that
let's
they're doing this with trusted street team members, like what?
you want to talk about betrayal. Like if that's legit. See, to me, that sounds like grandstanding and puffery, right?
It
Like, we're
does. It
so
does.
badass that we infiltrated an author's street team, and like the people this author trusts aren't really as trustworthy as they think they are. But it just really sounds like outright lies, honestly.
It does, but
I put very little credence in the veracity of that.
I do feel like that there are these people are out there trying to actively take down these taboo
Sure,
authors. So
sure,
there's a level of truth, right,
sure. Yeah. I
in
mean,
it.
it's as much as I don't believe that this is anything more than puffery, it also occurs to me that it's entirely possible that people are joining street teams for the exact purpose of doing this. Not because they want to support the authors, but
Right.
because they want to participate in their downfall.
This is what's shitty about the
Yeah,
industry. If we want to be concerned about something, we should be concerned about this.
for sure.
And I can't tell you how many times I've had clients talk to me about this, and I've seen it in real time where an author will release a book and immediately get 1 and 2 starred.
Yes.
That there's no rhyme or reason.
Yes.
There's no way that person read the book in that short a period of
Right.
time.
Hmm.
They didn't receive an arc, and they're just being 1 and 2 star review bombed because for whatever reason, that person has made it their life's mission
Hmm.
to just hate books
Yep.
and hate on these authors. I actually went back through one client I was talking to this week was upset about it. Valid. I mean, it's
Sure.
valid. And so I was trying to figure out, like, can I track who this person is? Like, who is this troll? Right. And so I go into Goodreads and I found 2 people that had reviewed her book, read and reviewed on the day that it released,
Allegedly.
which is totally possible, but also seems suspect. So I click on their account on Goodreads because you can go back and do this on Goodreads. On Amazon, it was anonymous. It was just a rating.
Of course.
But on Goodreads, you can see who does this. So I clicked on their account, and every single book that they have read is 1 or 2 stars. Occasional 3-star thrown in. I was like, why are you reading? Why do you read books then? If every single book you hate everything you quote unquote read, they're
Well,
not
okay.
reading.
So some people, like, this is just what they do. They are miserable and they don't know how not to spew misery and pessimism and criticism everywhere they
Yes.
go. I have some relatives, unfortunately, who fall into this category, and they're
Yeah.
difficult to deal with because every time you see them, it's always just the sky is falling and everything is bad, and I have nothing positive to put out into the world because I like myself so very little.
Right.
These people need therapy.
They do. And I don't think that they're reading all of these books. I think that they have made it their mission in life to just
Sure.
make other people feel as miserable as they feel. And so
100%.
they go in 1 and 2-star books. And
Well,
you
you
can
know,
see that they've read and reviewed like 4 books in one day.
right.
And I'm like, did you now? Did you?
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Some of it's probably jealousy too.
right. Well, there was that whole Corin. Is that how you say the last name? Situation.
Kate
Kate
Corin.
Corin,
Yeah.
yeah. Where she made all of those fake Goodreads accounts and essentially did this, review bombed her fellow authors. And yeah, it's just why? Why do people do this? I will never understand that, but that's not ethical
No, 100%
and
not.
really crappy.
Yeah. Now, posting multiple reviews a day, I suppose if you read, let's say you read 2 books a day,
Totally possible.
and you wait until Fridays to post your reviews.
Okay,
You
fair.
could have 14 reviews to share every Friday if you're reading 2 a day.
You could. That did not seem to be the pattern of this particular
Right.
account.
Okay. Well,
But, you
benefit of the
know,
doubt addressed.
yes, just saying. A little bit
Yeah,
of
no,
a,
this is some shady shit.
it's shady shit. And there's nothing that an author can do to stop it.
Right.
There's nothing that can prevent this from happening.
No, and the social media platforms are not going to intervene here.
No.
Hell, I reported somebody for a racist comment earlier this week that was very clearly racist, and I won't get into the details of it, but Facebook refused to do anything about it. I appealed their decision to not do anything and asked for an actual human to look at the post, and they still said, "Nope, doesn't violate our terms of
Oh
service."
my God.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're not
Well,
going to do anything about it.
Facebook's on my fucking
Shit
like
list.
shit list these days. They keep locking me out of my account and making me send in like videos with a code in front of my
Oh,
face.
oh my
And
God, you
it's
guys.
like,
Every other day, I wake up in the mornings and I check Messenger and I've got a new video from Heather and it's her just like, it's proof of life
it's
for
a
Facebook.
proof of life
There's just her
video.
holding like the code on a post-it and like moving around to
Yeah.
prove that she's a real person.
You have to move your head back and forth and up and down and move the code up and front. It is ridiculous. So number
If,
one,
if she has sent me one of these videos, you guys, she has sent me 5 of them at this point.
Facebook hates me. What's hilarious? Okay, so the reason I have to send it to Veronica too. This is the whole thing. So one, I have access to Facebook still on my phone. I'm locked out on the desktop account. The
Right,
desktop
right.
only version is what they keep locking me out of. I still have complete access on the phone app and through Messenger on
Oh,
my phone.
yeah.
And so they keep telling me to do this that I've set up two-factor authentication. I actually haven't, which is the problem, but they keep locking me out, and then when you get back in, you can't set up two-factor authentication within a certain period of time after you get into a locked in account.
And you get locked out
And then
again
I get
before the
locked out
time
again.
period passes.
Yes. So I can't struggle is so real, guys. So I have to, in order to authenticate my account, send in this proof of life crazy video. And I can either do it via email or through this chat that they have set up. And I did it through the chat and they sent me back they sent me back this email that was like, here's your code to be able to log in. It's 8 digits long. Here's 5 codes. Use this 8 digit code, even if it says like it's only 6 digits or whatever. Well, they gave me one code and it was 15 digits long. So I replied to them, what am I supposed to do with this? This code is 15 digits long, not 8 digits, and it also doesn't work. Okay. So then they reply back, here's 5 more codes. None of those codes work. And then finally, they sent me another email and one of those codes worked. And then 2 days later, they locked me out again. So I was doing another proof of life. The thing is, though, I can't take them with my phone. I can't take them like with my camera
Right.
and then upload them to the email because they have a size limitation on the video that you can send to them.
Of
And
course they
my
do.
phone, I can't make it so small on my phone with such terrible quality that they need in order to fit their size
So you're doing
limitations.
them at your desk.
So yeah. So I'm doing them on Facebook Messenger, sending them to Veronica, and then saving that video and then sending it to Facebook so that I can get back into my account. These are the hoops you have to jump through. I am a
Yeah.
real human, Facebook. What grinds my gears even more about Facebook is that they call me no less than 20 times a week for Facebook
Girl.
ad accounts. And if you answer the phone and you're like, "Can you unlock my account?" They're like, "Oh, we can't help you. We don't know what you're doing. We can't do that for you."
They're happy to help you spend more money though.
Yes.
What you should say is, I would love to have a call with you. I have a bunch of money to spend, but you have got to help me get my account unlocked first before I can do that.
Yeah, they are the opposite of helpful. So,
That's because the majority of their ad folks don't understand how we sell books.
no, they don't. No, they don't.
That's not to say that they're
So,
not helpful for other people selling other things, but
no, I'm sure they're very helpful for the everyday widget, you know, accessories, clothes, shoes, whatever.
yeah, the
Like
kind of stuff you
that
keep
kind
in
of
your own inventory and direct
right.
ship and yeah.
Yeah. But ebooks and things like that, they have
Audiobooks, yeah.
absolutely no
No
knowledge
clue.
on.
Nope.
No clue. So that's that's my rant against Facebook.
Heather's tangent on Facebook.
But back to the
The book of
TikTok.
faces.
So
Yes.
another potentially, is it legal? Is it ethical thing that we should talk about?
Licensing agreements.
Licensing
Yeah.
agreements.
Heather gave me a preview of this before we started recording today, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't appear completely out of the woods on this issue. Heather got into a
Okay.
fight on Book Talk, y'all. That's
I get no fight, but like
she put somebody in their place.
I
She
just
stepped into the conversation. She got some pushback from some ignorant people, and she put a few people in their place. So much
yeah,
so that, as I understand it, this entire thread no longer exists because the
it's
person
true.
she was arguing with deleted their comments.
Yeah, after I explained the law and she told me I was wrong, and then I told her I was an attorney, she deleted the post. So that's what happened. And
I
I
try
mean,
not to
listen,
I try not to throw that around.
I don't like to throw that around, but when you're telling me that I am wrong about the law when like I know I'm not,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I get it.
the thing about the law here is that the law there's a lot of gray area in the law. You can sue over anything, right? Like
Pretty much.
you can sue over anything. So could this be a
Anything a judge is
potential?
willing to entertain anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I literally said it depends with okay, let me go back to what it is. Let me
The
go
answer
back
is
to the
always
beginning.
it depends.
It always depends. So, we're talking about sprayed edges here, folks. We're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about sprayed
set the
edges.
table because
Let me set the table.
I jumped in too far before
I
you get a
know.
chance to set the table.
So, the question is, can a third party come in, purchase a book, MSRP, purchase a book,
Directly from the author, the publisher, or a retailer.
yes,
Mhm.
spray the edges of said book in a way that does not infringe upon the copyright or the intellectual property of the author.
So no character art or fan art or
No
anything like
character
that.
art, no fan art. Let's just say we're spraying the edges black. Okay?
Yes, the answer is
Straight.
yes, they can do that.
Can they do that?
Yes.
Yes. And resell it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Yes, you fucking can.
You
You
can
can.
chop that book up and turn it into decoration and frame it, and that's legal too. People do it all the time.
Yeah. Now, what gets into gray area is a couple things.
When you start using the
One,
actual intellectual property.
yes, when you start using the actual intellectual property, say you buy a copy of Fourth Wing Unsprayed Edges, and you go and you spray the edges and add dragons, that infringes upon the intellectual property of
Yeah.
that book. Okay?
Rebecca and her publisher can absolutely sue you for that.
Absolutely. If you just go and you spray them, gold, not infringing upon
Mm-hmm.
the intellectual property.
Right.
Arguably, you have to sell it. When you sell it, you, I think, to be strictly legal, need to say that this is an unauthorized sprayed edges version of Fourth Wing, if we're
Yes.
continuing to use that as an example, right?
Yes.
You don't have to say unlicensed because you don't need a licensing agreement, but you need to
Right.
make it clear that you are not the author. You are
Mm-hmm.
not the one that has done this.
Right.
So as long as you're doing these things and you're not infringing upon the intellectual property,
Okay. Yep.
if you take Fourth Wing and you do a very pretty flower sprayed edges,
Sure.
not infringing. I don't think flowers have anything really to do with the book. So, you can do pretty designs
Yes.
without infringement
Mm-hmm.
occurring. In this situation, what had happened was there was a creator who was doing sprayed edges. I don't know if she still is, based upon all the
The
kerfluffle.
discussion.
But there was a person doing sprayed edges. They had apparently always said, a small business, that if an author did not want them to do sprayed edges, that they would not do the sprayed edges of that author's book.
So the artist is just like voluntarily agreeing not to
Yes,
do it if the author requests that they don't.
correct. So I guess the author had asked that if okay. I guess the
An
book
author.
sprayer
Yeah.
asked the author if they could do sprayed edges of their book. The author came back and said, I've spoken with my agent and we really prefer that we go through and do a licensing agreement for sprayed edges, which then you have a choice to make. You can decide what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
That's
This
great.
is,
That's great agent advice, by the way, but also like
it depends. It depends. This creator then took that email and put that author on blast on the TikTok and was like, don't hate this author. Like I said that I'm not going to do it because this author said that she didn't, want me to do it, blah, 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 blah. And so no hate
the
to this
artist is out here
author.
complaining about the request to not muddy the waters with respect to the author's intellectual property.
Yes.
Not even violate her intellectual property rights, just like maybe get a little too close to that boundary.
Right.
She's
She was just
upset about
upset.
that and putting her on blast for it.
Yes.
Okay.
And so another creator came on and basically was saying that this sprayed edges person is being unprofessional and, isn't being ethical and all of these things. And but then she kept switching between ethical and legal, right? Like
What?
she
Oh
kept
Lord.
coming
Yeah.
over into whatever, because I was like, yeah, you can totally say that she's unprofessional, like that's your opinion, you're allowed to have your opinion about that.
I don't know. Based on the way you're telling the story, I kind of have the same opinion.
I mean, yeah, if you say that you're not going to, if you're going to
Yeah.
honor an author's wishes and then you don't honor the author's wishes and instead
Or
you
you
put them on
start
blast on the
complaining
internet,
publicly about being asked to honor an author's wishes, like,
yeah, like then yeah, it's not great. That doesn't look good for you.
right.
That's sort of unprofessional. Also, putting their whole email up on blast, whatever.
Mhm.
Not the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
Totally legal to do,
Yeah.
not very professional. Okay. But this other creator then gets into an argument with me when I say, like, basically the basic thing. If she's not infringing upon her intellectual property, she doesn't, and she's purchasing the books at MSRP,
Hmm.
she can spray the edges and resell them for, whatever the hell she wants. You know, you can do that with pretty much any product. Now, and she then told me that I was wrong. And then that's when it devolved. And I was like, well, it depends. And she's like, well, what if the author has she's like, the author can have an exclusive, an agreement for sprayed edges with someone else. That may be, but it's for I mean, the thing is, if you have an exclusive agreement for publishing, one, that doesn't really happen per se, but two, these are paperback copies that we're talking about. We're not talking about
Yes.
Kindle Unlimited exclusivity. But if you have an exclusive agreement, it's a whole cover. It's a
Right.
cover. It's sprayed edges. It's the whole kit and
Yeah.
caboodle. It's not just taking the old book and spraying the edges. That's
It's one
not
very specific design that is exclusive to whatever contract you have with the
right.
distributor and the production, the printing company or whatever.
Which is also why it's incredibly important, if you are going to be spraying edges for the books, to make it known that these are unauthorized
Yep.
versions, that you are not the author, because the only time that you can really get in trouble is when you're using the author's book or the author's intellectual property to sell your work. You are
Yes.
doing an additional service. The safest way to do this service, just throwing it out there for anybody who wants to get into the sprayed edges world, is to have the customer send you the book that they purchased, and then
Yep.
all they are doing is purchasing the service from you to
Yes.
spray the edges, and then you send it back directly to that customer.
That right there is
That's
some quality advice.
I'm not your attorney, but that's my best advice for that situation. That
Yep.
takes out the whole question of you purchasing the inventory and all of
Yeah.
that. So there, but this then brings up, people are like, oh, well, what about, like Kristen Juszczyk? Because Kristen Juszczyk was upcycling Nike
Hmm.
garments to
Yes.
make amazing jackets. She
Hmm.
now has a licensing deal with Nike, but she couldn't sell them before this because they were too, even the announcers on the NFL were like, they thought Nike made them before they realized that Kristen made them. So that's a problem. There was confusion. If there's ever confusion like that the author is responsible for this sprayed edge thing, that's when you start getting into trouble. So you have
Yes.
to make it
For
very
those,
clear.
right.
Sorry.
No, no. I was just going to add, for those who aren't familiar with Kristen Juszczyk and her situation, she is a fashion designer, a very, very talented seamstress and creator slash maker who's married to an NFL player. I believe her husband plays for the 49ers,
I think
San
so.
Francisco.
Yeah.
She's made a number of popular designs for WAGs, wives and girlfriends of various players, including, I believe, Simone Biles and Taylor Swift,
Yes.
out there supporting their husband and boyfriend, respectively. So her designs have had to be, she's reused Nike pieces because she's
Right. She's
making
upcycling.
she's upcycling, but also she's had to be careful about how she represents the teams and the players, because until recently she didn't have a licensing agreement with the NFL to use logos or anything else that is the intellectual property of the individual teams or the league.
She was able to gift these things to people. She was
Yes.
not able, you can always do things like this and then gift it.
Yep.
You are not allowed to sell it commercially. So she
Right.
was not allowed to sell it commercially. So people were getting gifts. So
Mhm.
Taylor Swift got a gift from her and things like that. But it obviously worked. It got the attention of the NFL. And frankly, I mean, if we can just, take a side note here, there are not enough women presenting clothing options for NFL,
2023,
purchase.
the year Taylor Swift introduced the NFL to femme and women, like femme
Yeah,
presenting people and women, like just
right. There's not enough
they.
options of
Well, yeah.
cute clothing that people who present femininely would
Mhm.
want to wear. There just aren't.
And every other professional sports league out there could take a page out of the NFL's book here.
100%. 100%. So, and because of the influx of Taylor Swift
Sincerely, an
fans,
NHL fan.
and there's a lot more women
Yeah.
who are now watching.
Yeah.
This has taken off in a way. It was actually like it was beautifully executed, just like the timing of it all and all that. So the NFL was then sort of pressured to make this licensing agreement with Kristen Juszczyk in by public pressure because people wanted these products. They desperately wanted the products, and frankly, they're really cute. I gotta say, like they're really
She's very
she's very
talented.
talented. They're very fucking cute.
Yes.
So, understandably so. But yeah, she was not allowed to sell them because it had literally their brand and their licensing all over
Right.
it.
Right.
Books are a little bit different because books are the content is what is the intellectual property.
Mhm.
And then there's a separate licensing for the cover,
Yes.
right?
The image is usually licensed by the author or the publisher, and the rights actually belong to the photographer or the designer.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you as a consumer purchase it, you can do certain things to certain products and then resell them
Mhm.
as long as they are not essentially being made into a new product that would confuse
Mhm.
consumers to think that the author created that
Right.
product.
And you're not out there using the author or the characters.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh, that reminds me. The
this is
woman,
not legal advice. It is
no,
this is our
no.
opinions
We
based upon the
we
current
are lawyers, but we
circumstances.
are not your lawyers. And
Yes.
to be perfectly fair, neither one of us practiced intellectual property in any
No.
great measure when we were practicing. So
But these are our understandings of
we
what
are
it currently is.
learned in a very basic way, not in depth. So your mileage may vary, but all of this reminds me of that lady in Florida who recently got threatened with a lawsuit from, I believe, Luke Combs' legal team because she was producing
Yes.
tumblers with his face on them. She's
Yes.
literally using pictures of Luke and wrapping them in like these plastic tumblers, like they were paper inserts or something, and she's
Yeah.
selling these designs. And his legal team found out about it and sent her a cease and desist, and I think even a demand.
No, they sued her and they had a judgment
They
for two hundred and fifty thousand
That's
dollars
right.
because
They
she
went
didn't
ahead with the
reply.
lawsuit, and the whole
Yeah.
thing was it was an issue of service because she claimed she didn't have notice of the lawsuit, and they were actually trying to execute a judgment against her.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Because they served her via email because apparently in Illinois you can
Don't look at
receive
me.
service via email.
I just live here. I'm not licensed here.
I know. But that was the issue in that particular case. But and then Luke came out and was like, I didn't know anything about this. It's totally okay. And I'm
Right.
like, and my first response was, Luke, my guy, what are you doing? Good PR response, terrible legal
No.
response.
Well, right. Right. From a legal
Because
perspective, not the smartest move on his part, but also like nice guy points, right?
sure, but he just watered down his trademark. The
Well, of
Phillies coming
course.
out in
Now,
May. Um, he just what's the level
what
now?
what did he do, Heather? He did what to his trademark?
Yeah, he watered it down. This is
I'm punchy at this point.
it's all good. But
Um,
yeah, that's a problem because now literally anybody that they try to sue, my first defense would be, well, Luke has come out publicly and said that this level of infringement is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
And
He does not require the actual trademark protection available to him. He has turned the
right.
other way on one case. He set the standard. It's a free for all now for creators to do whatever they want to with his brand.
Right. He said that they were only looking at millions of people who are making millions and millions of dollars off of his likeness. I'm only making $500,000 off of his
Yep.
likeness. So
Yep.
I don't qualify.
Or 50,000 for that
Or
matter.
even
Still a
50,
lot of money to most of
whatever.
us. Yeah.
Whatever. I'm just, yeah.
Right.
So you have to be very careful with these things. So
Yes.
I understand the authors wanting to come out and say, hey, can we have a licensing agreement? Listen, best course of action, get a licensing agreement. But do you need one to do just straight up sprayed edges? No, you technically don't.
Well,
You
and you can do
technically
whatever you
don't.
want to your own individual books
Oh,
once
of
you buy
course.
them.
Of course. So, I mean,
You want to put character art all over them and you're not going to resell them? Have fun.
yeah,
You know? Put a
have a good
picture on
time.
media. I want to see that when you're done with it. Just don't make money off of it.
Yeah,
If you're making money, you cannot use
right.
the brand or the intellectual property of the brand.
Like for example, I mean, we are essentially booksellers now on TikTok. Okay, we
Yeah,
have a
right.
TikTok shop and we are selling books on TikTok shop. We could have just purchased the books, whatever books we wanted, directly from Ingram Sparks. We could have gone in
Mhm.
there, created a bookseller account, and purchased the
Sure.
books from Ingram Sparks. And then the author would have received a royalty at that particular point. We then get to go add a markup to it and resell it and can do it whatever we want.
Right.
However, we wanted to work directly with authors because we wanted to ensure that the author is receiving the most amount of royalty possible.
Yeah, because
And
Ingram is really bad about not doing
yeah,
that.
I'm just saying. They don't get great royalties. So, we are working directly with authors. We have our own licensing agreement royalty rates in place with the
Mhm.
authors, and we can sell their books for them. They receive a certain royalty
Yes.
for the sale of each book. And if I created any products that had their like intellectual property on it, they would be receiving a royalty from those products as well. So this, that's how it works when you're working directly with authors and how it frankly should work. It's the cleanest business practice.
Yep.
You know, could I have gone and started spraying edges of books and resold? Yeah, I could have, but I'm not going to do that.
Heather's out here doing things the ethical way.
I do my best, man. I try. But my point is I can be doing things one way because this is the way I like to do business. But I recognize that it's not necessarily required. I just feel like it should be. I feel like that's
Well,
the way it
no, I
should be.
mean,
You know what I mean? Like,
and when it comes to ethics, everything is a little bit subjective when there are no actual like regulating bodies or government
right.
entities that have set rules for
And
everyone to
that
abide by. And that, I mean, that's the situation we're in the publishing world.
that
Period.
that goes back to the beginning. There is no governance of being ethical in
I
our industry.
and that goes for what we do too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dump my purse all over the doormat here, but the number of things that we have seen other people and companies that do promotions and marketing support for authors
Oh
get
yeah.
away with or attempt to get away with that are ethically questionable.
100%.
I mean, I could write a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
We've been
I
in
could
we've
write a book.
yeah. We've been in this industry. I started in this industry and doing work for authors in late 2015. The company was formed in 2016,
Yeah.
or when I
I
realized it was a
joined it in early
company.
2017.
Yeah.
We've
We've
been at it
we've
for
been,
a minute.
we've been at it for a minute. We have seen things. We have seen things. And yeah, it's wild. So please act ethically, but recognize that not everybody's going to. So you can either do the can't beat them, join them situation, or, I always tell authors to do what makes them feel most comfortable. And that's what I like to do. Like I said, I prefer to do licensing agreements.
Yes.
It makes I can live with myself. I can look at myself in the mirror in the morning. But I also recognize that not everybody has those same sort of internal requirements. And that's fine. But this is how I choose
Listen,
to live my life and run my business. So,
if you're out there lacking a moral compass, you too can plagiarize, or I mean, as long as you don't get caught, use AI, steal images that you might otherwise want to license, use other people's characters or author brands to make your own money, but you're running a really big risk.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
penalties are pretty steep. If you get
Right.
caught and somebody sues you,
Right. That's can be disastrous for your business. Or if you do something that's not ethical and you get called out for it and you get a whole backlash, that can also be really destructive to your
how many
business.
authors have we seen disappear into the ether because they got busted just for stealing from other authors?
Yeah. So many. So many. So be safe out there, my friends.
Yes.
It is the wild, wild west of
Yeah.
publishing.
And also remember that just because it's permissible doesn't necessarily mean it's ethical, but also there's a big difference between what's legal
And what's
and
ethical?
right.
Thank you for joining us today. This has
And
been,
don't tell Heather she's wrong in an argument.
for fuck's sake.